Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Oliver Riera, and this is Jared Boyette.
How's it going, everybody? I am Jared. I am a health fitness specialist at Lifetime Fitness in Cary. Essentially what I do as a job title, I am a personal trainer. I do small group classes, large group classes, one-on-one training, onboarding sessions, metabolic testing. So there's many things that go under the list of the things I do.
Yeah.
That's why I like to label myself as a health fitness specialist.
Right. Yeah. I honestly didn't realize how many things you guys do out there.
Yeah.
I thought it was just, training people, but it's more to it than that.
Yeah.
I wanted to have you on because you seem like an interesting cat. Little kitty cat.
Yeah. In the jungle of training.
Yeah. So why don't we just start from the top, man? Where are you from?
Yeah. I'm from Sanford, North Carolina.
Oh, born and raised, huh?
Born and raised, North Carolinian.
Yeah. You don't meet too many North Carolinians.
No, you really don't. In fact, when I first started at Lifetime, the craziest thing is my first year, by the way, this is going on my 8th year at Lifetime Fitness.
Damn. Oh, shit, dude. Hold on.
Okay, you're good.
Sorry. Oh, no, we're good. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, this is going on my 8th year at Lifetime Fitness in Cary, which is great. It's been a great career. But my first year or so, I had so many people come up to me and say, "Oh, wow, you don't meet many people here from North Carolina."
Yeah, you really
Which
don't.
was crazy. I mean, Cary, Central area relocating Yankees, right?
Well, you get people from North, you get people from the South. So it's like the middle ground. You know?
Yeah, right.
And I feel like it's the middle ground in every industry, like living expenses, the cost of living, all that stuff. It's kind of like...
Yeah, and it's a great place to be. I get it. But I grew up in Sanford, so it's about an hour away. My family still lives there. Yeah. I kind of have family all over North Carolina, but most of my family's around the Lee County, Sanford area.
Okay. How was it growing up there?
It was good. I mean, small town. I feel like I always had big aspirations to go out and do more, whether it was to stay in North Carolina or after college go out west, which has always been one of my dreams, which I did for some short time. Sure. Made my way back here. I never really wanted to stay in my hometown. It was great. It was a great place to live and be raised. I think my parents did a great job. My family was really big. My mom was really big on education. My dad was really big on hard work. So, nice. That was always instilled in me growing up. And what a better place. What's a better place to do that and have that?
Yeah. Yeah. So look, as a little kid, you felt like you wanted to do something bigger.
Yeah, I didn't know what though.
Do you mean as a career thing or?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I think when you grow up in a small town. And Oliver, I don't know where you're from exactly. I know we've chatted quite a bit, but
I'm from Raleigh.
Okay, yeah. And when you grow up in a small town, you want to go somewhere different that you didn't grow up.
Yeah.
And Sanford's kind of one of those places where you're just not much. I couldn't be what I am today in Sanford, and that's just geographically and there's not as much around, and the convenience of everything. All the companies and businesses that we have here and what we do.
Does that mean that you were a trouble child? Were you acting up?
Well, honestly, growing up, I really in high school I didn't really make good grades. I worked hard. In terms of work, I was always respectful. Yeah. I don't know if I would say I was a trouble child. I was in and out of trouble for sure. You mean
like prison?
Yeah, not quite. Borderline. Most of the time we're. But I don't know. I just I never didn't think I would go as far as I did in college and then to be where I am in my career. Yeah. I don't think my family did either.
Were you kind of like the first one that kind of made it out almost?
Yeah.
Of the small town kind of thing?
My family had done it. Some of my family, like some of my uncles had. Right. But not as much so. It just, I don't know, it's kind of neutral there, so to speak.
So you said you worked hard, right? As a kid and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Was that instilled in you?
I think my parents wanted my brother and I to stay out of trouble. So they thought the more active we were, the more we would stay out of trouble.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So my brother and I grew up athletic in sports.
Oh, nice.
Growing up, day in, day out. And if I wasn't playing a sport, maybe not for my brother, but myself, I was working with my dad's business or working at a job.
Gotcha.
Sometimes both. You know, I was juggling school and work at like 16, 17, 18 years old. I think even 15 I started work. So even with my dad's business, which is great. It taught me a lot of work ethic
What kind of
discipline.
business?
So my dad has an electrical contracting business.
Okay.
Yep.
So they work.
Yeah. So I grew up on the construction site quite a bit.
Yeah.
And my dad's still active with work. But I grew up doing that line of work with my pops. If I wasn't in school, of course, when the education came first.
Yeah.
So I had that background of that hard work aspect.
Do you know how to like fully put a house together? Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you need me to, I mean, right before this, I think I wired these lights for you, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm just kidding.
You were that guy? Oh.
You know, that's the frustrating thing, Oliver, is I wish I retained more when I was younger, because it's such a dying trade now. Like, there's not as many. It's hard to get contractors and stuff, just with how much we're growing as a society, and there's just not many in that field, or at least it seems that way. I wish I retained more, and I didn't. I mean, of course, I could change a receptacle and put a ceiling fan up, but that's about it. I couldn't wire a house, and I did it for years. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear either Gen Z or the generation after them is like concentrating on going into labor, trade jobs and trade school and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll find out, right?
Yeah. So did you and your parents get along all right?
Yeah, we did. I mean, like, obviously, for me and what I do, you know, my family's active, all of my family.
Okay.
I don't know about your family, but I'm kind of the first one that's really honed in on fitness.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of different, and it was always different when I got into it. I mean,
you played sports, right?
I played sports, yeah, and I feel like now, especially being where I am at Lifetime, parents have their youth training at an early stage.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that was then. Besides at school, you know, you train in high school in your strength and conditioning classes, your PE classes.
Yeah.
But other than that, you didn't hear of anybody having one-on-one or even small group training as a 12, 13, 14-year-old. So it was different. Yeah. You know, and what the career path I took was a little different, right?
What kind of sports did you do?
So I grew up playing about any and every sport, soccer. If I wasn't playing soccer, it was probably football because they're the same season. Yeah. Playing Pop Warner football or soccer. Kind of migrated towards football as I got older. Basketball was a big sport for me, and baseball, of course. But once I got to a certain age, I love basketball, but I didn't make the team my 9th grade year. I was literally the last one cut. It was like, hey, look, we got to make the roster. Damn. And I tried out for the wrestling team, which is also a winter sport. Right. And one of my one of our family friends, he wrestled growing up and was a star athlete, introduced me to wrestling. He's like, hey, Jay, I think you'd like it. You should give it a try.
Were you like a big dude?
Not really. I was actually really small. My freshman year, I wrestled 112.
Damn.
So it was next to the smallest weight class.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to cut weight for that, right?
What's the smallest weight class?
So it's 103, and unless it's changed. I'm sure it's changed over the years. It might be 105 now.
Okay.
But it was 103 when I was in high school, and then 112. And I was like 107, 108. Gotcha. So I was like right in the middle. So I probably could have cut weight a little bit and made the 103 weight class. I tried out, and we weren't any good, and I absolutely loved it. Nice. I love the sport.
What did you love about it?
I just loved, there's two things I loved about it. I loved that it was an individual sport, but also a team sport, if that makes sense. It's an individual sport in terms of you could win the state championship individually and nobody else on your team win, but you could also win as a team. Right. You know, in terms of your dual meets. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. I like that component of the sport, but I also like the dedication it took, and you coming from an MMA background, same thing. Not saying that you liked it just because there wasn't as many doing it, but it is kind of different. It steers a lot of people away. The work.
That's true, dude.
The workouts that come with it.
Wrestlers in general, man, like they have some hard workouts, dude.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
like when I did MMA, you know, I would do jiu-jitsu with some wrestlers. I'm like, damn, like I can't pin them. I can't I can't pin them because they would just throw me around.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be able to tap me out. But the fact that they could just throw you around,
they had
like
that background.
Yeah. It's that like bulldog mentality or something like that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Did you bulk up when you started wrestling or something?
Yeah, I mean, so around that time I got really in, and this is where my fitness career started brewing a little bit, right? Like I always grew up in sports, in and out.
Yeah.
Not a superstar, but grew up playing sports. Parents had us in there. And once I got into wrestling, you know, it took the different work ethic and aspect of that. And started getting into weight training, started learning about it as a freshman. And
so you're supposed, that's part of the wrestling class, right? Is weight training?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I was into weight training at that point, wrestling. I was still really small. But then I started to really grow. So over the years, I grew weight class wise. So I was, I think, like 5'2", 110 as a freshman, really small. Yeah. 5'1", 5'2". Right. Sophomore year, I'd already gone up to like 135, 140. Damn. Probably grew another 2 or 3 inches. Obviously, most kids are growing at that age. Yeah. And then by my senior year, I'm 160 and I cut to 145. So, nice. Yeah, that really got me going in terms of my fitness career over the years.
How's, because like, you know, you did weight training and stuff like that. Yeah. I never actually took weight training in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I'm curious, like, do they actually like teach you correct form and all of that? Or is it just you go in and do things?
That's a great question, Oliver. I feel like it depends.
Okay.
It really just depends. I think in today's time, like we have CES, CSCS coaches. Most of the coaches now are football or wrestling coaches. Okay. And they do a great job. It's very organized. It's your classic. It's just a grade under college level.
Gotcha.
Those guys really know what they're doing. It's very organized. They're keeping track of your numbers, your programming. When I was in school, it was different. You know, we had some strength coaches, and there were some schools that, you know, you just kind of, the gym's open, go work out. It's kind of a free day. But I had some great coaches growing up in the weight room who really taught me a lot, that I still use those same values and principles today, and those same programming styles. So I was really fortunate with that. But I feel like it really depends. I know I have friends that didn't have good strength coaches in high school.
Right.
If you did have a good weightlifting coach in high school, similar to the alpha workouts, which you've done before, that are those smaller or large group classes, the program's already done for you. And you have a coach there to guide you and correct your form. Yeah. So if it's a good strength class, it's similar to that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you loved wrestling and stuff like that. Like, did you think of wrestling as like a career?
Yeah. I wanted to go to college, and I had teammates that went to college. And by our senior year, we were decent. We had kids, and some of my teammates that went on. One of my teammates, Mike Williams, who went on to go to Pembroke, UNC Pembroke, and he won D2 national champion. Nice. So really good. We had some great wrestlers. I, of course, wanted to be that. I wanted to go to college, but I never did. I didn't make the best grades in high school, so that was a tough component, right? So that held me back. And I think it was just at that level for wrestling, you got one weight class. And I know other sports you have one position, but it was very competitive with certain schools and certain states.
Because of the weight class?
Not just weight class, but up north, wrestling was bigger. And those guys were unbelievable wrestlers, had been wrestling a lot longer and more talented. So usually those guys got recruited first.
Oh, gotcha.
Or you had to be really good, probably a state champion.
Is that something that you tried to get into, like as a career, but then find out like
Yeah, to an extent. I tried to get a couple offers, but it didn't really get very far. It kind of stopped at a certain point. Plus, I think I was realistic with it and just realized that.
At some point, you got to be realistic.
Yeah,
with it, right?
just like, you know what? If I would have done this better, but it's a learning lesson.
Yeah, that's a hard balance, man, because like, you're taught to go for your dreams.
Yeah.
But like, at what point do you transition into something else because it's not working?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's what's carried me over to be a good coach, or at least I consider myself a good coach, hopefully, humbly speaking.
Yeah,
so, I mean, I carry that to this day, being a good coach and being a good leader, or at least trying to be, right? So, you know, I mean, it is the past, but it's fueled me going forward in life, which has been good.
Do you remember that time was there like a specific moment where you were like, okay, I got to think of something else besides wrestling?
Besides wrestling?
Like getting into wrestling in college and stuff like that.
Yeah, to an extent. It was probably like right after high school I got into college, or started college at junior college. And my ultimate goal was to start at junior college and then transfer to a bigger university, which I ended up going to East Carolina University.
Is junior college a community college?
It is. Yep, gotcha. That's right. Yep, community college. So I started there, and I still wanted to do something, you know, like I was 18, 19 years old. So that's when I got into bodybuilding. So I did bodybuilding shows, men's physique to be exactly. Yeah.
Damn.
I still had that competitive edge, you know, I just wanted to do something. Thought about weightlifting, powerlifting, but just wasn't a passion of mine. But then I got into bodybuilding, did some shows, some amateur shows.
So was that through the college or?
No, it wasn't through the college. It was just through, just kind of like on your own will. You know, you sign up for local shows in the area or out of state if you wanted to go that far.
Is that how it works? You just sign up for competitions?
Yeah, yeah. You sign up based off of, you know, your weight, your height, what class you're going to do, whether it's men's physique, bodybuilding, amateur, if it's more pro level, if you're at that point. And then as it gets closer to competition, you get ready for that. But I had a coach for it, and that's what also carried me into my fitness career. Yeah. So if you notice, there's been a pattern throughout the years that's carried me to where I am today.
Yeah, there's always something that carried you, right?
Yeah.
So did you guys go to like any gym or something like that and found a coach? Or
yeah. So while I was in school at community college at Sand Hills, I started. You know, working out, and like I said, I wanted to do something active. Really, at that age where you're not going to do any sport, right? I could have got in mixed martial arts, but in my area, it wasn't as big at the time, and that wasn't really a passion of mine anymore. Like I had kind of like hung that up. Yeah, it taught me a lot of discipline, and I loved it. But
what do you mean hung it up? Did you go?
Well, I hung it up in a way of like, you know, a lot of wrestlers now get into mixed martial arts transition. I didn't really make that transition. Gotcha. To mixed martial arts. And there was some guys from the gym who had done or were doing bodybuilding. It kind of got me into it, and I wanted to do something different. Me and some guys that I grew up with had always talked about it, and I kind of just didn't want to talk about it, whether I did one show or 10 shows. I just wanted to do one to at least check it off the list, right?
Sure.
And I did my first show. Luckily, I was still a teen and able to compete in the teen class.
How come you didn't want to talk about it?
What's that?
How come you didn't want to talk about it with others?
Oh, I just meant in terms of talking about, I didn't want to just talk about doing a show.
Oh, just,
you know, I wanted to actually make action to do it. Yeah. So, yeah, so I got right into it. Started training. That's
exciting, bro.
It was. I was 18 years old, and I put my mind to it, and I was like, I'm going to do it.
Nice.
It was very intimidating, something new.
Yeah. How was the first time you were actually getting into it?
It was so intimidating. Well, I first approached Dino Scardino from Brooklyn, New York. He was one of the coaches. He's in his 70s. Has, it seemed like 50, 60 years of training knowledge through that bodybuilding background at the gym. So, of course, I approached him to train me, and he essentially turned me down. You know, it was just honest, you know, just like, hey, kid, like, I love your aspirations and your drive, but, I mean, you got a lot of work to do. He's like, I tell you what, I'll give you 1 month. You still have plenty of time. I'll give you 1 month. if you do this, this, and this, which looking back, I think it was just had to lose body fat. I think I just need to get leaner, right? And show him that I could get leaner. And if you change up your diet, if you change up your workout program, and we see some progress, then I'll work with you. And for that next month, I kicked ass. I was pushing serious weight. I was reading more. I was studying, just doing it all by myself. It taught me a lot. Started to understand nutrition more.
It's crazy how passion can do that.
Oh,
for you,
man,
right?
it was insane. I mean, I was reading books, researching everything. Had me whether I knew it was right or not, I didn't know, but I had me a nutrition plan I was following. I was learning more about it. Had a workout program I was following. I was starting to do more cardio, so I was getting leaner.
Right.
And then he started to work with me. So we worked for like 6 to 8 weeks. I had a coach, did my first show, and won teen bodybuilding.
Damn, dude.
As a teen. Yeah,
Nice,
I was
man.
pumped. So I was like hooked after that.
Yeah.
So I did shows.
Wait, hold on. Let's take it back just a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
So like you, after that first month was completed, you went back to him. How was that conversation like?
Well, I built a rapport with him.
So throughout the month,
for
you
the
kept on.
listeners, you know, I don't want it to be like we never talked to him for that whole month.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, it was in passing. Hey, how's it going? And I think he saw how determined and how I was there day in and day out, how respectable I was. And after that month, you know, he took a shot on me because he knew I was determined and wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember the conversation, how it went down, but I think he knew I was determined to complete that.
Were you the type of person? Obviously, you're passionate, right? So someone who's passionate, they do everything they can to do the thing, right?
Yeah.
But did you like always keep an eye out for all the other bodybuilders and what they're doing, and like you doing that and stuff like that?
Yeah, I did. One of my mentors stated years ago, take advice, but be careful whose advice you take.
Right.
So it was two different things in one, if that makes sense. So I took that philosophy with that. So I did. I was watching other guys, most people that I admired, more of the more natural bodybuilders like Dr. Lane Norton, those type of guys, and taking what they were saying and their successes and running with it.
Gotcha.
But you know, there's so many different ways to do a certain sport or training or nutrition. So I kind of took what I thought would work best for me. And I failed many times too in terms of what did or what didn't work for me nutrition wise or training wise.
Yeah.
Like we all have to an extent.
Sure.
And I found what worked best for me and I went with it.
How was the nutrition part for you? Because I feel like that's the hardest for people.
The nutrition was very difficult.
Yeah.
That was probably the hardest part. The training was fun. It was easy.
It's that other 80%.
It's the other 80%. It was not having a cookie or a beer on the weekends. That was the toughest thing. Luckily for me, I had that wrestling background of cutting weight. So I had that mentality, which helped me and carried me over to that.
Yeah.
Cutting weight and cutting down body fat, which was a huge component, right? And but it was still extremely difficult. I think the difference is when I got to bodybuilding, you had to be on it for like 6, 7, 8 weeks. Like it's almost like you had to be perfect.
You mean like training?
Well, not just the training.
The eating?
The training didn't change as much as the nutrition.
Gotcha.
Like when it got 4 to 6 weeks before a show,
Oh, I see.
it's like you couldn't have one beer.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you could, looking back, you probably could, and it wouldn't hurt you as much as we thought it did. But you couldn't have a beer. You couldn't have a turkey cheese with drenched in mayo sandwich.
Yeah.
Couldn't have a burger. You know, you may have a cheat day here and there, but it seemed like it went by so quick. So the nutrition aspect was extremely difficult for sure.
Yeah.
It was the hardest for sure. There was many times I just was like,
What
Yeah,
would you
why am I
do?
doing
Did you
that?
have any techniques to get through that?
yeah, I had like certain desserts that I would make that were lean
Okay.
over the years, you know, but they were based more off protein powders and Greek yogurts, right?
Yeah.
So they were good at the time, but if we ate them now, we'd be like, a Reese is so much better than
Yeah. There's so many options.
yes, right. So many options, but yeah. So yeah, it was difficult, but I think having that goal in mind and that mindset and that little bit of doubt in the back of my head is what pushed me through to be successful there.
Oh, no one really talks about the doubt and how that helps them push them forward and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense because like that doubt, you want to like prove it wrong, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. So then you started training with him. And then, so how was from the beginning of training with him after that month to going into competition for the first time? How was that difference for you?
I feel like the training changed quite a bit. Where I was lifting a little heavier, more volume, less volume, I was focused on more weight and less volume. When I trained with Dino, it completely shifted. It was, we have enough muscle mass built up for your age. I mean, obviously you want to get bigger over time, but we only have 4 to 6 weeks. So now we're going to sculpt what you have. That's part of being a bodybuilder. So everything that we did was supersets to keep the heart rate relatively high, to increase muscle mass while decreasing body fat. And we were doing sets of 12 to 15. And it was intense because even though I grew up wrestling, I grew up working out, I had never really done bodybuilding style workouts like that. Maybe some of the volume, but not with the supersets, not doing 12 to 15 as heavy as I could on dumbbell chest press and then supersetting it with flies or what would be a compound set we call it today, like 2 of the same muscle group back to back, or chest and back together. So you're just like constantly working, shorter rest breaks.
That's gotta take a toll.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it was like the FIT principle, like frequency, intensity, time, and type. Like everything was to a certain degree where it was so strict. Like, okay, you got 30 seconds of rest, and it was literally 30-second rest.
Yeah.
Like no more.
Right.
And I wasn't used to that. It was hit a set, socialize,
right.
take 2 minutes as opposed to 30 seconds, or how much ever time it had been. It was probably around a minute.
Yeah.
And it was extremely excruciating for the first couple of weeks, and then you get used to it.
And that was because you only had a certain amount of time before the competition, right?
Before the competition,
and he said
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks, and then he basically took what you have and sculpted you. So, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about like, the differences between doing that and like low weight but high reps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, now science has evolved so much. I mean, of course, my training is different now, and I think time is a big factor too.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I have a little bit longer than 4 weeks, or at least I hope I do.
Oh, yeah.
So at that time, it was like, it's go time. If you got 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks, if I remember correctly. But now it's those are great, right? Depending on your goals.
Yeah.
But I think there's many ways that work. It all depends in the fitness lifestyle. I know guys that lift extremely heavy, or they do in the bodybuilding aspect, they do something like power bodybuilding, which is the lift heavy, like we stated, and then doing supersets or accessory movements throughout the remainder of the workout.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it is really interesting. And there's all different ways that people do it now.
Yeah.
In terms of their training. Genetics plays a huge factor. Rest, nutrition.
Yeah.
They all play such a huge component.
Yeah, everybody's different, right?
Everybody's different. Yeah. Same as the in the mixed martial arts world.
Right.
Their training philosophies are so different.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many options and things now.
Yeah.
As far as, because you had to do all that weight in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Was there a extensive long period each workout of just warming up so you don't get injured?
I warmed up for sure, but it was the standard warm up.
Okay.
I think now it would be different now that I'm in my 30s, but at the time, 18, 19 years old, looking back, I didn't have to warm up as much.
Right.
My normal warm up, let's just say around that time for 10 years was usually cardiovascular for 5 to 10 minutes for blood flow. And then it was some joint integrity for like 5 minutes, some movement prep, some mobility work. But then right after that, it was right into it. Yeah. So it wasn't anything abnormal warm-up wise.
Okay. Yeah, because like I'm thinking about like the 4th, 5th day in a row that you're there doing heavy weights. Yeah. And like your muscles must be just shot. You know
yeah. They were for a while, for sure. I mean, you definitely look forward to your rest days. That's for sure.
Yeah. Did you take rest days in those 4 weeks?
I did. I was probably training 5 days a week. Okay. So I probably had 2 days of rest. There might have been days closer to the competition, like the last 2 weeks. Well, I take that back. Probably the 4th week, I probably picked it up to 6 days a week. Looking back, gotcha. But it wasn't anything abnormal outside of 5 days a week of training split. The problem was you were training one muscle group for so long, you know, roughly an hour and a half. So if you're hitting legs for an hour and a half, you can imagine the DOMS, the late onset muscle soreness for that amount of time, which is quite a bit.
So how were the rest days for you? Did you like it, because you're still kind of training, right? So you can't just do anything while you're resting, right?
Yeah. For me, it was the same as it's been and what it is right now. I have active recovery days. So active recovery days are big for me now, walking, running. Okay. I like to stay active. I think it's best to stay active. Yeah. We're meant to be in motion.
Sure.
So those rest days were good there. It may have been a sport too, tennis at the time. Just light tennis, of course. Yeah. Or just something along those lines.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, it was just walking and staying active, staying moving, stretching.
I heard from a video of a bodybuilder or something like that, that for bodybuilders, if they want to lose body fat but don't want to lose the muscle, they walk on an incline.
Yeah.
And just walk.
Yeah.
Or like maybe a fast walk. Something like that. So.
Yeah, that was a big thing. It's interesting you say that because bodybuilders used to do that quite a bit over the years.
Did that change?
You know, I think just science has evolved so much. Okay. I think we've come, in the last 10, 15 years, we've just come so far. Yeah. There's so many knowledgeable guys and technology and science is out. That was really popular when I first started bodybuilding. Incline walk or Stairmaster, which still is. Stairmaster and incline walk were really popular. But now guys are doing bike, they're doing running. A lot of guys are sprinting now. Metabolic conditioning's taken off.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I would say, I'm sure bodybuilders are still doing incline walks. Yeah. But there's for other modalities out there that people are doing.
Yeah, you know? I love walking on the high incline.
Yeah.
But backwards.
Oh yeah.
And that just works out. Yeah. It just helps my knees so much.
Oh yeah. That's like that bend over knee guy. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram.
That sounds familiar. But
yeah, you should check him out. If you don't follow him, I'll send you his videos. But he talks about the importance of backward walking, and he does a lot of that sled pull, sled push, and how beneficial it is for your knees, but your hip flexors. As opposed to not being injury and injury prevention. Yeah. So it's really interesting. So I'm a huge fan of backwards walking. I don't do it enough, but it does help quite a bit.
Oh, it does, man. Yeah, especially when I get like cold knee, like it's just stiff and need to warm it up or something like that.
Yeah.
But not just that, like, you know, you hear so many people as they get older, like their knees, right? Their knees. But like they're not doing anything to help their knees. So that's the reason why.
Yeah, that's right.
I think, sure, there's a little bit of a factor that it's their age, right? Maybe it's a little bit of genetics, but most of it is because you need to work the knees.
Yeah, you do. I've had so many clients over the years. I've been a trainer now professionally, let's say 12 years roughly. And I've had so many clients over the years that have trusted the process, that may have been overweight, knee pain, maybe both. And they've trusted the process and followed a program and have been consistent and have lost their knee pain. Yeah. They didn't have any more knee pain. Right. Because they did corrective exercises and they did it the right way. And they got more active, lubed up those joints or areas, as you want to call it, and it went away.
Yeah.
So I think we're meant to be in motion and staying moving throughout the years.
Yeah.
A lot of times a sedentary lifestyle is what caused you to have that tightness and that joint pain.
Yeah, it really does. Sitting down all day and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just does. So let's go back to your little story there.
Okay, let's do it.
So you went to competition. So you trained for that month, and then you went into the competition. How was that feeling for you? That first competition, going into it.
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. This is the funniest story. Listeners will think this is hilarious. So this is my first competition. I had signed up for, I think it was through forget the organization, but it was Natural Bodybuilding Organization, which was really cool how they did that. I think it was AMBF, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
This might have been a show before then. So I'm 18, 19 years old. I'm extremely nervous. I go to get a spray tan from a lady at the gym in her house, in her garage. The show is in June. So it's pretty hot. It's getting hot, especially here in North Carolina. And I go to her garage. It's mid-morning. I'm nervous. I'm depleted, right? I'm cutting water out. I'm in the last couple of hours before stepping on stage. And don't know what it was. I'd say it was the combination of the fumes from the spray tan and the depletion of nutrition, and I pass out.
Damn.
Just ate
Mid-spray?
Mid-spray. Just started it, passed out in the garage, hit the partial part of the, I guess, concrete, chipped the back of my tooth.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. Scuffed up my face. My whole face was scuffed up. It looked like I had been in a fight. And finally woke up, was completely embarrassed. She was freaking out. She was like, oh my God, we got to take you to the hospital. I was like, no, I'm fine. It's just where I'm nervous. I'm depleted. And she got me some food, I think some OJ or something similar. Yeah. And I drove back home. My dad freaked out.
Oh, did she finish the spray?
She finished the spray, yeah. Okay. And my dad freaked out, and he was like, we got to do an EKG, being a hypochondriac. You may be dehydrated, maybe. Parents weren't very knowledgeable of that at the time, and cutting weight and this and that.
They think you're dying.
Yeah. So we went to the hospital. They did EKG, all these tests. And the doc was like, yeah, he's perfectly fine. He probably just passed out from the fumes and being nervous and the heat. That was a factor as well, right? And then went on to Greensboro and did the show. Damn. But I had those limits that held me all in the same day.
Damn.
Yeah. I had weigh-ins that day, and then the show was actually Saturday. This is Friday.
All right, gotcha.
And I did the show, but all scuffed up, I'm weighing in and doing all my measurements before the show, signing in, and my whole face is scuffed up. Luckily, I had a spray tan, so it kind of blended in a little bit. But
I was gonna say, you're gonna make
scuffed up, my tooth. It wasn't completely chipped; it was just scraped in the back. So I eventually had to get that fixed. So I won my first bodybuilding show, all scuffed up, beat up.
Yeah.
But it was worth it, and then the rest was history.
So, obviously with bodybuilding, you have to learn poses.
Yep.
And stuff like that. Obviously, I'm assuming you was working through that the whole month, right?
Yeah.
And then, so how was it seeing the other guys?
Well, it all depends. When you do bodybuilding, unless you know somebody that's doing it, you really don't know the competition. At least an amateur, right? Pro, it may be different, but you just never know who's going to show up. And out of all the shows I've done, there's been shows, hence the first show, where I had no idea who's going to show up, and I did really well.
Nice, dude.
And then, at least for my first show, and then I did second and maybe third show where the competition started getting harder. So those were a little more challenging. Didn't place as good as I wanted to. So it just really just depends who's there and who shows up, so to speak.
So what'd you do after you won?
Oh, dude, I pigged out. Yeah. Drank a beer and I didn't get a steak. Everybody says, oh, I bet you got a beer and a steak. I'm like, no, because I ate steak during competition, right? So nothing was different in prep for competition. But I got a beer and I think I pigged out. I think I got wings. I think I had a banana split. just random stuff like you were craving, like stuff
yeah.
you hadn't had in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was good. That's how I celebrated.
So then after that moment, what was the transition there? Was it just back to training or something?
Yeah, it was kind of back to training. I worked in a gym too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice. I did like membership sales. I worked the front desk.
Okay.
So that was good. So while I was going to school in at community college locally, I worked in the gym, and it worked out because I had the advantage to work out, and I made a little mini career out of it. I started to get really knowledgeable. I changed my major from criminal justice at the time to exercise physiology.
Why did you want to go into criminology?
I don't know. I just a cop really wasn't. If I was a cop, I wouldn't be opposed to that. State trooper or whatever it may be. I wanted to do more forensics, FBI, or not FBI necessarily, but SBI.
Okay.
SBI forensics, that kind of thing locally for the state.
Okay.
But a lot of my mentors that were from the gym, military guys and SBI agents were like, if I had my time back, I would have went to school, of course, but I would have done something that I wanted to do, business, exercise physiology, art design or whatever, because really you just need a 4-year degree. Once you get that, they'll teach you everything you need to know in SBI.
Okay.
And I took that advice and changed it up to something I valued and I loved and I had a passion for.
Yeah.
Not thinking I would be a fitness professional one day. And I kind of just went from there.
Nice.
While I was in school. So
that's got to be exciting, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're following your passion pretty much.
Yeah.
Which makes you want to do good.
Right. Exactly.
That's great, dude.
Yeah.
So you were in school, you were working out, you were working at the gym.
Yeah.
What's the next step for you?
So I hit a barrier there where it was what's next from community college, just working in the gym, and I had to finish out my 4-year degree. That was my goal. I didn't have to, but that's the goal I wanted to achieve. So I got accepted to East Carolina University. So went to East Carolina and did
you party hardy?
I did party hardy. Yeah, I did. We had some good times there.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends either went with me or were already there at East Carolina. So I met so many people at East Carolina, but I also had people that I knew, which was awesome.
Yeah,
and even though we had some great times, some fun parties, I did, and we all did. We focused on our academics for sure.
Gotcha.
And my ultimate goal was to carry it further. I think the SBI career had kind of dwindled down a little bit, right? So I was leaning more towards physical therapy, and it was really on my heart. I really wanted to be a physical therapist, and ECU had a good program, and schools around had a good program. Some of my friends were getting in that field, so they were very knowledgeable, so they could talk about it. Yeah. I was already in the exercise physiology field. Yeah. So I thought, what would be better than to do PT? Right. This works great. And I could try to get accepted in the PT school and get to East Carolina. And my first semester, I was like, what the hell? It was, I did well in school at ECU, but when you're in organic chemistry and chemistry 2 and microbiology, and you have to make an A to be competitive with people that are getting into PT school, I realized that I needed to take another route. So which was very difficult for me, right? Because that's what my dreams were at that short period of time, to be physical therapist. So after talking to my advisor, there was a couple of different options. There was health fitness specialist. You could still be in exercise physiology, but it's going to be based off the sciences still. So I changed my major to health fitness specialist, which still has a good deal of sciences. It is a biology degree, but it didn't have as many that you needed. It focused more on the training, the business aspect, the coaching, working with people, more public speaking. Interesting. And so I did that, changed my degree to that, and it was great.
How long before you realize that you need to change. What is it? Degrees.
Yeah. Oh man, after that first Chem 2 test.
Oh really?
After that first Chem 2 test, I was like, oh my gosh, this is
my life is ruined.
I mean, I was like studying and there's a difference in passing the class and then realizing to get into PT school you got to make an A.
Yeah.
And
is it
the competition,
literally you have to make an A in order to get
I don't know if it's changed. I'm sure it has to an extent. It was just really competitive.
Gotcha. I don't know. Is that competitive?
And it's so competitive. And the schools only take so many. And so I changed my major. It was relatively quick. My advisor at East Carolina was really good, and nice. we talked and communicated. I weighed out my options, and I think I had a friend or two that was already in health and fitness, and which is very similar. I mean, you took a lot of the same classes. It just focused more on the business aspect. Yeah, I would say
that's great. I didn't know they taught
and more
business.
The personal training.
Yeah. I didn't know they taught business with health and fitness.
Yeah.
Part of it.
And it was a science in a sense of where it wasn't as much of a science when it came to chemistry and biology. It was more science based off more anatomy and exercise science, which was good. Yeah. Which taught me a lot. But I did that. I finished out that degree, and it was a blessing. It was great. Yeah. I learned so much.
Were you bodybuilding at the time?
I was. I pretty much hung that up like my senior year or close to my senior year
of college.
Of college, gotcha. Yeah. I did my last show with AMBF. It was another natural organization. Yeah. I did men's physique. I won that show. I won my pro card through them, which isn't a huge deal until you compete at their pro level. Yeah. But I kind of just hung it up after. I was like, I did what I wanted to do.
Got the pro card and that's it.
Yeah, we got my pro card. I won this last show.
Dope.
I think I was 23 years old, and just kind of just quit at that point. And then I had the opportunity to do my internship at Fitness Quest 10 in San Diego, California. It was a great opportunity. I had to get approved through the school.
How'd you get that?
So how I got that internship was I had to apply for it, but I had to apply through the school essentially first, through the dean and the coordinators for it. They don't want to just send just anybody to that internship. Yeah. It's out west, Fitness Quest 10 with Todd Durkin. He's a master trainer who works with numerous athletes, Drew Brees, Darren Sproles, Michael Chandler was there. I actually got to spend a lot of time with Michael Chandler. He's a stand-up guy. Yeah. So all these athletes and celebrities were out there, as well as general population, which made it such a cool internship. So you're working with weekend warriors, but you're also working with some of the top athletes in the world.
And you're working with trainers, to be specific, right?
Yeah, trainers to be specific. Gotcha. And even you could lean into like physical therapy to an extent, rehabilitation. The cool thing about Fitness Quest is it's kind of like Lifetime in a sense. There's like a little bit of everything. You can learn so much.
My girl calls that a resort.
Yeah, right. It does seem like that. It pretty much is, right?
Yeah.
Depends what department you go.
Right.
If you go up the stairs, it's not as much.
Right.
But by the pool, drinking a beer.
Yeah, with the cafe there.
Yeah, with the cafe there, yeah. But yeah, so my eyes were set on this internship. I wanted it so bad, so I had to get approved. I got approved after certain presentations and my schoolwork, my academics, and how much work I was putting in. But then I still had to apply for it, and I think 100 kids applied for the internship throughout the whole country.
Oh, wow.
Even some out of country too, like Brazil to be exact. Yeah, so it was a big deal. So I had to do numerous Skype interviews.
Do you know how many they take?
Yeah, so they took, I think it was 8.
Wow.
To be exact. Okay. There was 8, and then there was 2 marketing interns, so 10 total. Gotcha. So 2 marketing interns and then 8 training interns. In fact, supposedly that class was so difficult. Normally they only take like 6, but they ended up taking 8.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I did Skype interviews and phone interviews, which at the time Zoom wasn't a thing and Skype had just kind of came out. So they were
Yeah.
kind of awkward a little bit, you know?
Right. Can you hear me?
Especially if you never met those people.
Right.
But ended up getting the internship, moved out to California once I graduated.
That's great, dude.
Thought I was going to
Living life.
talk about leaving North Carolina.
Oh, right.
I thought I was going to stay out in San Diego. I had aspirations to live there, move there, and stayed out there for 5-6 months, and I just made my way back.
Was it after the program?
It was after the program.
internship?
Yeah, the internship. It was great.
Okay, so it was only for like half a semester.
Yeah, wanted to stay there and work. Could have stayed there and worked.
Yeah.
Not that I was homesick, but you realize once you build relationships and you are financially, there's no family for me out west. It's a 3-hour time difference. What I'm doing here, I could do out on the East Coast. People need me there just as much, that kind of thing. So you start playing these different scenarios in your head. And I got to the point where I could always come back. You know, they love and value me here. I've made so many connections. I have so many friends. I always come back, right? And came back to the East Coast, and kind of the rest was history, man. I've been here ever since. But it's been a blessing. I found Lifetime Fitness, and I couldn't ask for more.
So so you were out there. What's it called again? Quest?
Fitness Quest.
Fitness Quest.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So you first went out there as an intern, and then so talk to me about the kind of the process on that first day. Again, probably nerve-wracking, right? Maybe
it was nerve-wracking.
You seen all these.
Oh my gosh! I mean, and not to mention Todd Durkin, who's one of my mentors and a stand-up guy, full of energy. Nice. I'll put it to you this way: you mentioned the first day. Ryan Rogers, the intern coordinator, got us all grouped together in the room. We're about to meet Todd Durkin, so we're we're 22, 23-year-olds, nervous, excited. And he comes in with his film guy, and he's videoing everything. Full of energy, like the guy has slept 10 hours last night and just drank a Red Bull. Just full of energy, rah-rah guy.
Oh, was it what is it, boot camp?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, he's not that obnoxious. Like, give me 10 push-ups, like nothing like that. But just, you had to be on your A game. Very professional, on your A game. He has coach written across his forehead, So when I saw him, I was like, does this guy ever sleep? Like, he's full of energy. But a stand-up guy, so motivating. But he comes in, and as he comes in, he does a quick interview right on the spot. He just interviews each and one of us. Cameras on us. I mean, I have never really had a camera on me at that time. Yeah. I mean, maybe a little bit here and there, but nothing like he had done. So all 8 of us, he interviews, where you from, what are you looking for out of this internship, gives us a little pep talk, and just is kind of on his way.
Was he vlogging or something?
I think he was vlogging. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Vlogging, record everything. He does a lot of seminars and motivational speeches and talks quite a bit.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar, so I gotta look.
You probably do know him. And in fact, I think he was vlogging and doing videos for what was up and coming that I had no idea about until a year later. Gotcha. I don't know if you remember the show that was on, I think it was CBS or NBC. It was called Stronger. It was where the trainer had a individual. It was 8 trainers, and they all had a client or member, so to speak, and they worked with them on losing weight. It was almost like The Biggest Loser to an extent, right? But it was called Strong. Okay. And they did different challenges to get to the final, and he ended up making it to, him and another guy ended up making it to the finals.
Oh, so he was the client, he was the person.
He was the trainer, trained the client.
Gotcha.
I think he trained this lady named Julia.
Yeah.
Had her lose 50 pounds, and they did different challenges, and at the end they crown a winner. Nice. Which was really cool. So it was kind of like The Biggest Loser. Yeah. So I think he was doing a lot of his video shooting for that to send off to audition for that.
Gotcha.
Cast.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So was it easy? I don't want to say easy. Yeah. But was it, was it doable?
It was doable. It was a lot of work, especially for my program through East Carolina. I had to record everything. So I had to make sure I got my 40 hours in, which normally there was so much to do there, and you were working with the athletes. And it got to a point where you didn't want to turn anything down, right? You might have got your 40 hours in, but Drew Brees and a couple of them are at camp, and they're doing field work on Saturday, and Todd's asked you to help out, and you're like, well, I got my 40 hours. Like, you're going to help out. You know, like, I might catch a couple balls from Drew and help coach him and work with him. So it was a lot of hard work, long days, kind of like it is as a training lifestyle.
Sure.
I mean, you had your set schedule, and then you weren't obligated to work any more than that unless you wanted to. And of course, me and a couple of the interns worked more. You know, when Mike Chandler came in, we wanted to help out and drill and absorb as much information as we could and learn from some of the best. So difficult in that kind of way. For me, and I'm sure all the other interns, it was natural. We enjoyed it. We were there for a reason. But the days were pretty long for the most part.
Gotcha.
Okay. It was just something all the time, it seemed like.
Yeah. So it was like just assistant work pretty much, right?
Yeah, pretty much assistant work. Yeah, we did a little bit of everything.
Nice.
I mean, we mostly took notes, shadowed, helped out any way we could. We led things too in terms of, training sessions and small group work.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we were just learning.
Gotcha.
Cleaning, helping out any way we could possibly.
Yeah. What was did you have a goal at that point in life?
I didn't really.
Yeah.
I had no goal. Just going through the motions of life.
Well, did the internship have anything like to do afterwards? Or what?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my passion was sitting in front of me that whole time, and you didn't realize it. I think from where I was from, right, career-wise, you never really heard of a personal trainer or a strength coach, or maybe you did, but there just wasn't as many.
Right.
And it depends on what setting they were in.
Yeah.
So I didn't really find out my purpose and passion, or at least I didn't feel like I did, until I moved to San Diego and got to work with Todd Durkin, Jeff Bristol, all these phenomenal coaches who were 25, 35, 45, 55 years old, having a phenomenal career, wonderful coaches, financially secure, working with some of the best people in the world, really.
Right.
I didn't realize that I could make a career out of it like that.
Yeah.
So after that, I figured I could do this for a living,
right,
if I stick to it.
But back in the East Coast.
But back in the East Coast,
Gotcha.
Or at least I hoped I could.
Right.
But I feel like training has evolved so much over the years. It's kind of cool to train now.
Yeah.
At least it seems that way.
Right.
Not saying everybody's doing it, but it's just more popular now. And I think we understand health and fitness more now than we did 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's becoming more of a necessity, so to speak.
So then you came out here. Was it a little bit of a disappointment when you flew back here?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of feel like a failure, especially when a lot of people wanted you to stay, especially when you had your mindset to stay.
Right.
And especially when you have job offers on the West Coast in San Diego.
Oh, really? You had job offers?
Yeah. I mean, some were small gyms, and I think for Fitness Quest, it was a list of individuals, so it's kind of like, you've done so well. If you stick it out and continue to work here, there will be an opening for you. We just don't have an opening right now because it's smaller space.
Yeah.
So it's like that job offer, but like if you stick it out, one of my really good friends, he stuck it out and ended up working there for a year or two and did really, really great. And another one of my friends went back over the years and worked there. And they were very successful, great trainers, great coaches. So I think it was just like, I didn't really want to wait at that time.
Yeah.
And wanted to go back. There's a lot of things I missed here that I didn't have there. And that was a challenging part for me. Because in the back of your head, like, what are people going to think, right? People think I'm going to fail, even though I knew I could be out here longer and do what I set out to do.
It's almost like an embarrassment,
Yeah. But I got to the point where I was like, you know what? It's my life, not anybody else's.
Right.
At the end of the day, I got to do what's best for me. But it was humbling to think that way.
Yeah, I think I have moments like that. I think everybody does, right?
Yeah.
But then at some point, you just got to be like, well, it's almost like I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll show you what else I could do.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Kind
Right.
of thing.
Yeah.
So just got to prove them wrong.
Yeah. That's right.
So you flew back here, and then what was the next step for you, man?
So I actually had a job offer, which is part of why I flew back. One of the small reasons. I had a job offer at Snap Fitness in Greenville. It was under new ownership. The new owner reached out to me and was like, I need a manager. I knew you were the fitness director here before, the assistant manager. I would love for you to come back and be the manager and run it. I know you're doing some good things out west, but
Like general manager?
like a general manager, yeah. And general manager there is a little bit different than lead general at Lifetime or something different. Obviously, that's a bigger club and more departments.
Sure.
There, I'd still be coaching. I would just be handling memberships more. There's really a lot of work on hand, especially if you stay busy with clients, because you just got like a lot of office work, it seemed like, and managerial duties. But I didn't have a job at the time, and I needed to start somewhere. So I took a leap of faith. I went back, didn't expect to go back to my college town. I was there for probably 10 to 12 months, maybe a year.
Yeah.
No more than a year. I don't think quite a year. And I took that leap of faith, saved up some money while I was there. But the whole time I'm like, this is great for right now, but there's got to be something else. I never heard of Lifetime. Somebody in the area told me about Lifetime in passing, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? And I wanted to check it out.
What about it did you
Well, I think it was in conversation with a college student. She went to East Carolina, and then she ended up working at Lifetime years later.
Nice.
It was just in conversation and passing with her. She mentioned it, and she was like, in my hometown, Raleigh, there's a gym called Lifetime. You should check it out. A lot of fitness professionals work there. It's more stability. Gets a lot of people in there. Some, great trainers work out there. And, you should give it a try. And it was really hard to get in there.
That's what I heard.
I mean,
I don't know if you were telling me that or somebody else was telling me.
Well, it was hard in the sense of like getting a hold of somebody, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I had sent my resume and cover letter over to, I had got the PTM at the time, personal training manager's information. So I had, I got his information, sent over my resume, introduced myself via email, and I didn't really hear back. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just go up there. So I just went up there and kind of was just like introduce myself. Kind of just did an interview myself.
I always,
professionally.
Right,
Putting a name with a face. Just let them know that, hey, I'm here to work hard. Like if you do have an opening to work here, like you won't regret it kind of thing. Like I need a job. I'm ready to get out of Greenville. Ready to be in a place like Raleigh. Looking for a move. And they took a leap of faith on me and hired me. And then I started from there, and I've been there ever since. I literally spent my savings so fast. Took a leap of faith. Like I didn't really have anybody helping me out.
It's always
and it's expensive here. Like compared to Greenville too, it was dude, it was so much more. I think my apartment in Greenville was like $600 for 2-bedroom, and it was nice too.
Damn.
It's like a condo somebody had for rent, and I rented it out. 2-bedroom, nice kitchen. Yeah, it was like $600. Here it was like $1,200. It was like doubled easy like that.
Yeah.
And and the girl I was dating at the time, she was moving here a few weeks later from her hometown, Connecticut, where we met in college. And we eventually moved in together, but she didn't have a job at the time. So it was a struggle. And as you know, like anything in life, when you start in a business where you're getting clientele and getting your name out there, there was some low paychecks. And a lot of savings was being spent. So it was a struggle for a while. I mean, I didn't think I would move to Raleigh and struggle as much as I did. In fact, if I did, know I was going to struggle as much as I did in the first 3 months,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have took that leap of faith.
Okay.
But luckily I did.
Yeah.
And
it's always in those leap of faiths that something happens. Something's gonna happen. It's all good.
That's right.
You'll be all right.
That's right. Makes you stronger, makes you better, makes you work harder, right?
Yeah, that's true. It makes you look at different options differently.
Exactly. Those moments have always made me better. I don't think there's ever been a moment where I've struggled that hasn't made me better as a person and grow from, right?
Yeah, because you're learning.
Like looking back, every moment I've gotten better and I've grown from it has been from a struggle of some sort.
Yeah, that's great. So did you own a boxing gym?
I
at
did.
one point? No?
It might have been Bobby.
Bobby told me that.
Yeah, he told me I owned.
That you used to own a boxing gym or something?
That's hilarious. Bobby has me confused with another Jared. No, I didn't. I'm trying to think if there's another trainer there that owned a boxing gym.
I don't know. Maybe I was just
I know
misheard.
Henry, who you probably know. He owned a gym. It wasn't a boxing gym. He owned a gym years ago in Florida.
Yeah.
Then he made his way to Lifetime. No, it wasn't me.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
All right. Just want to make sure.
Maybe in another life, yeah.
Another life. So obviously continuing education is a thing, right? When it comes to training and stuff like that. From the classes that I've taken with you, you seem very knowledgeable.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
And is that something that you just continuously try and do?
Yeah, I think guys like Bobby and I have really good mentors in the fitness industry. Like we are individuals who are big on continuing education courses, right?
Yeah,
I think they're very important. But we also learn a lot through just videos and Mike Bull and Todd Durkin and Dan John, many other fitness gurus in the industry. We have learned from over the years and took their teachings and kind of ran with it, or took our philosophies with their teachings and ran with it. So we have learned a lot through that and different seminars over the years. Of course, I do continuing education courses. I think they're important. I just recently got corrective exercise specialist certification.
Corrective what?
Corrective exercise
gotcha.
certification, which is a top certification, but I'm not big on...
Is that just correcting form?
Yeah, so it's pretty much through corrective exercise. I like to say it's the closest thing you can get without being a PT, physical therapist.
Okay.
And I don't want the listeners to think I'm saying like, oh yeah, you are a physical therapist if you get that certification. Nothing like that.
Gotcha.
It's but it's very knowledgeable course, very detailed. Corrective exercise is essentially somebody that has graduated from physical therapy and they're coming back to get into a workout routine, but they have some limitations, right?
Gotcha.
And it's working on a lot of joint integrity and core work, making sure you have proper form in everything you do and make sure your gait's right.
Yeah.
Various things. So it's a very detailed certification. That's one that I recently got.
Yeah. Form is everything, dude.
It is.
It really is. Like, even when I taught MMA, like my job, I loved going around and just fixing form. That was my thing. That's why, like, when I'm in your classes, I'm always asking you, is this correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, form is everything. I always say form first and then weight later.
Yeah.
Daniel and I were talking. I don't know if you know Daniel from the gym. We were chatting, I think it was last week, and we were saying how it compares to a Major League Baseball player. And what I mean by that is if you throw 100 miles an hour fastball, but it's not in the strike zone, it's pointless, right?
Yeah.
Same thing as weightlifting. If you lift 400 pounds, but it's horrible form, it's not in the strike zone,
Right.
it's probably going to hurt you, or it's just not going to count.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be worth it, right?
Right.
And
That's why I never liked those kickboxing classes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're getting a little workout in there,
Right.
but like the form is awful.
Yeah.
You're gonna hurt yourself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the tough thing about classes. Classes are awesome, and I love teaching them. It's hard to correct 18 people's form.
Yeah.
You know, you go around, you help. Good thing is most people have a great foundation that are working in there and worked up the stuff. They have that base, but it's still hard to go around and make sure everybody has the right form, right? You know,
I feel like there should be like like I get it. Like when people take class, it's for a workout. Right?
Yeah.
You have to work out. But I feel like there should be like a form class.
Yeah,
like
right.
just specifically.
You have to
working on
graduate
form.
to.
yeah. That'd be nice, especially like Bobby's class, right? With like fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's right.
Form in that,
Yeah, fighting, alpha class.
Yeah, alpha
those would be
class,
perfect to go up to.
Yeah, just a thought if you want to bring it up.
Yeah, right. We'll have you come in and teach.
Yeah. I might not. I'll leave the alpha to you, though.
Yeah, right.
But that's great, man. So anything else in order? I know you do some like personal training like outside of the gym too, right?
I used to. I don't do as much. I picked that up over COVID. I did
Okay.
some stuff outside, and it was awesome. I loved it. But now my business at Lifetime is, I'm very blessed. It's booming. It's hard to come and go and leave and do some stuff outside of Lifetime. I try to just stay in Lifetime.
Yeah.
If somebody wants training outside of Lifetime, I just give them a referral to somebody else that I trust in the fitness community. So I don't do as much outside. I try to just keep my schedule at Lifetime.
Yeah.
But I used to do quite a bit. Used to do home training, not necessarily at my home. It was either virtual. If it was virtual, it was either at the gym or at my house.
Yeah.
But I used to go to people's house locally in the area and train them that had a home gym.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is cool.
All right, cool. Well, hey, man, it's the last episode of the season.
It is. It is.
No pressure.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you being on here, man.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important. Fitness is important, and even though sometimes I slack, I still feel like fitness is important.
Absolutely.
And nutrition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm glad to have you on here and finish out the season this way. I think it'll help motivate people to, maybe get up and start moving.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. And I thank you for doing these podcasts. They've been great. I love listening to them.
I appreciate it.
I love all the individuals that you have on here throughout the year. So keep doing what you're doing, man. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Oh, do you want to tell everybody? I don't know. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you? Or?
That's all good. They probably heard it at the first.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because
your
thing is Lifetime, so it's not really a thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.